after one of the greatest Monday Night Raws after WrestleMania, we now have a new faction that is needing some new members. And it's led by my favorite wrestler, Seth freaking Rollins. I know I'm at the airport right now. I'm on my way back from Las Vegas, Nevada, after leaving WrestleMania. So I'm doing this straight off the dome. There's no script for this. This is straight off my mind. I didn't get to do any research on this. But today I want to talk about who are the potential new members for the faction that Seth Rollins has. I actually called it the Revolution. You know, it's kind of the new evolution, and they're going to basically revolutionize professional wrestling in my eyes. It's going to be the new guys on the block with their new leader of Seth Rollins, who, if I had to compare it to Evolution, you know, Seth Rollins is a Triple H in the situation. I don't know if Paul Heyman is supposed to be Ric Flair, or he's supposed to be like Rick Rude, or supposed to be for DX, even though that never worked out. He was kind of like the advocate for them. But now we need to figure out who the new members are going to be, because we have Braun Breaker involved. I guess Braun Breaker would either play the role of Batista or Randy Orton. So who would be the other members? So let's talk about the options here, right? I think one very obvious option here is a Carmelo Hayes. I think Carmelo Hayes would fit in perfectly with this group, but he's kind of in limbo right now, in like the Miz limbo, I like to call it, where like he's kind of stuck with the Miz right now and doing all that fun stuff with the Miz and getting elevated that way. He's also obviously on SmackDown. He could easily get drafted over and join them in like a couple weeks or whatever. But my biggest question is, what roles do we really need to fit here, right? Because if we need a powerhouse, or do we need someone young? Do we need someone who's kind of older that gives them a little more legitimacy? So first up, I'm going to throw out a name out here, which I think we should do Drew McIntyre. I know this sounds crazy to have Seth and Drew McIntyre be a team together, but if you do Seth and Drew McIntyre, you're talking about two of the most legitimate champions that are on Monday Night Raw, two of the most ruthless, two of the most badass, two of the most guys that like you would believe would be in this situation, right? And I can see him easily saying, look, I've been getting screwed left and right, and the only way that I know I can get there is if I have the right people in my corner to make this happen. And if Seth Rollins kind of says that he doesn't want the title, he just wants to elevate other people, and Drew McIntyre goes back into like ruining the Bloodline members for what they did to him, and Drew goes for the World Heavyweight title to ruin Jay's title run, I think it makes a lot of sense. I also think he fits the body type, he fits the role, he doesn't need someone to talk to for him or whatever, and he just like kind of fits into that group when it comes to like look-wise, right? Because I think the look does matter a little bit. And I think that having Braun Breaker, having Seth Rollins and Drew together already is just monstrous. A next name, which I would love to see, but is also on a different show, would be Austin Theory. I think Austin Theory would fit into that role really well, and I believe it's kind of like the next thing that he's missing to be elevated to the next level. Unfortunately, he's obviously on the other show, and he's also in a position where he's still like teammates with Grayson Waller, and they still haven't broken up. They still haven't gotten rid of each other. They're still A-Town Down Under. They're still in a position right now where they're not getting Austin Theory on his own. I think it'd be an easy way if Austin Theory, let's say they just show up on SmackDown and have Austin Theory beat the crap out of Grayson Waller and join them. I think it'd be cool. Do I think it happens? Probably not, but I think it'd be cool. Another name that I really have considered, I know this is going to sound so random and feel so random, Andrade. I feel like Andrade fits into this role really well, and Andrade can actually have Paul Heyman be his mouthpiece in this situation and just put on 5-star matches. I know a lot of people aren't really talking about that scenario, but can you imagine Andrade in this role? They're all wearing suits, kind of how Evolution did. They're all being badasses. Andrade fits the look, in my opinion, as well. And Andrade is also the type of guy who he needs a revolution. He needs something different to put him in a different limelight, in a better position on the roster right now to really, elevate himself to the next level. Because right now he's stuck in limbo. He couldn't even win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. He can't even get TV time unless it's like trying to convince Angel Humberto to leave Santos Escobar. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't really mind seeing Andrade in this position, especially because he can put on the matches that we need with these guys. Another name I think is very obvious is John Cena. Does John Cena end up joining this group as the champion? And basically they work together, they kind of just get going on this, journey of they are the revolution. They're the guys trying to destroy wrestling and ruin wrestling. And basically, like, John Cena's going to leave it in their hands once John Cena's done and all that stuff. That has been like my biggest thing, because what I'm worried about here is I'm worried that The Rock made this call, right? Because we need to backtrack here and figure out, did Seth Rollins go to Paul Heyman and say, hey, my favor is I want to start a revolution, and I have a guy in mind who I think will be your next guy in Braun Breaker. You're gonna help me win the main event of WrestleMania, and we're gonna form this faction where it's you, me, Braun Breaker, and we're gonna recruit a couple more people to really take over Monday Night Raw, take over the WWE, you know, make it better than it is now? Or was the situation of Paul Heyman said, look, I know I owe you a favor. What if my favor is that we build this group? Because I feel like that's going to tell us a lot about who the mastermind is behind this. My fear is The Rock is involved in this in some way, and The Rock told Paul Heyman, or The Rock told Seth Rollins, that I'll let you run the show while I have Cena running SmackDown, and The Rock gets involved in the situation, and The Rock inserts himself some way or another. Because the way it's looking like right now is we're going to have war games between this group and the group of Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, whatever other, Jey Uso maybe, some baby faces that they throw on that side against the bad guys. And how they go down with that is all going to be about the Seth Rollins try invading the other show. Like, are they going to be kind of like roaming between both of the shows and stuff like that? Because if they are, then we can start grabbing people from either one of the shows. We can start grabbing situations. What if they turn Cody Rhodes heel and he joins this faction? You know what I mean? There's so many different questions and options that I feel like we have, and I truly feel like we didn't get too many answers, obviously, on Monday Night Raw. What if Rusev joins, right? Rusev just debuted on Monday Night Raw. Rusev could be the Batista in this situation, where he's the powerhouse. I didn't even think of that. That just came to my mind while we're talking about it. Rusev joins them, and he's the powerhouse. Braun Breaker ends up being the Randy Orton role, being primed to be the next champion. Seth Rollins goes for the world title and stuff like that. There's so many, I feel like, directions they can push and pull us. And I think that's the one amazing thing about this Raw after WrestleMania was they kind of set us up for the new season. I feel like a lot of storylines ended and we're going in completely different directions. We're not kind of getting stuck into the same feuds. We're not kind of getting stuck in the same thing is happening, the same thing is going down. And we're being put in a role where it's like, different things can happen, different directions can go in. If somebody gets hurt, you know, because Kevin Owens, I'm sure, was supposed to be in a much bigger role moving forward. I don't think Kevin Owens was just supposed to lose to Randy Orton and disappear. I could have seen Kevin Owens a part of this faction. That is something that I had in my mind. I could see Sami Zayn turning on Jey Uso and joining this faction, feeling like he's been screwed over and never really had the right opportunities, even though he had all the opportunities to win titles. But like, there's so many different names where like, do we go with younger guys? Do we go with older guys? Are they trying to win the world titles? Are they trying to take both titles? Are they just trying to ruin the shows and stuff like that? That is my biggest question on this whole thing, where I want to know from you guys realistically, who do you think should join the new faction? Where do you think they're going with this new faction? And realistically, like, what is the options that they have moving forward? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys thought of Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania in the comments, and let me know if you guys have any topics or future videos. I have a video coming out soon where I'm going to be, when I get home, obviously, I'm going to talk about how much WrestleMania cost, how much the whole experience was, everything that we did at WrestleMania, my overall review of like the experience at WrestleMania. So make sure you guys subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you guys can see those videos. With that being said, this is much love from me, Allenownz, to you guys. Peace.